This video is for the Wind Control Ursa Minor Winwing series metal quadrant. This is a popular throttle quadrant that has two axes that is specifically designed for the Airbus, but thanks to some flexible detent management and a software that allows for some configuration, you can make it work with the TFDi MD-11, sort of a Boeing style throttle. The first step you're going to want to do is to download the SimApp Pro software. This is important because you need to be able to put the throttle in the double stroke 4-axle configuration to allow it to function like that of a Boeing aircraft. The Airbus mode, which we will not look at in this video, is the single stroke double shaft. You can see here this piece of software also is helpful in telling us the various buttons that are enabled when the throttle moves through its various range, in and out of idle, and through the various reverse modes. That's where our configuration will be important. So let's hop into the simulator and sort of see it in action. Now, you unfortunately have 3 engines in the MD-11 and only 2 axes in the Ursa Minor. For the purposes of how I've configured it, I have bound engine number 3 to the right axis. You can see that here. And I have bound engines number 1 and number 2 with the left axis. See here. There's kind of no right or wrong way to do this. I certainly would recommend binding number 2 to either number 1 or number 3. You also could, in theory, bind all 3 to both axes and have sort of a single throw forward and back. But for the purposes of this video, the right is with number 3, the left is with number 1 and number 2. So let's work through the full forward travel so we can demonstrate that that works as expected. That is full thrust. And then back to idle. Reverser on number 3. And then we'll go with reverser on number 1 and 2. And we'll now go with the reverser on all 3. One of the things you've probably noticed in the video is that moving from idle reverse into forward idle, you sort of have to move past the 0 stop, shall we call it, and then slide it back. That appears to be, I wouldn't call it a sim limitation, but it appears to be tricky, I think, to bind because you're going to want to bind something with the 15 and the 21 keys for idle. I did see a video from Airnaut that showed how to do this in the PMDG. I was getting mixed results in the MD-11. So I would say, in the interest of simplifying this and guaranteeing it works 100% of the time, so you don't have to battle between idle, reverse, forward idle, reverse idle, I've sort of dumbed mine down significantly. And therefore, you'll have to go just a little into forward and then back into idle to get it to completely come out of reverse. So if we go into the settings and we go assigned, you can see that I've configured the throttle 1, throttle 2, and throttle 3 axis. Now, this is not the 0 to 100% range. This is just that axis. I then have throttle 1 set to decrease, throttle 2 to a decrease, and throttle 3 to a decrease. This is going to be the critical piece to ensure that you get the appropriate engagement on the reverser when you're in the range, because it is not, in this case, configured as an axis. It's essentially configured as a button press, even though you're moving an axis on the hardware. So if we go into the settings here, you can see that I have input repetition set to enable, and I have button 40. And if we go back to the Sim App Pro, button 40 is going to be here. I'm sorry, button 41. I'm showing you the wrong one. But for argument's sake, this is going to be that 1 and number 2. Again, input repetition with button 40 for the left axis, and then, or axis, pardon, and then button 41 for the right. Just one more time. Button 40 for the left, button 41 for the right. And see, the moment I go in just the slightest bit of reverse, that button 41 lights up in the app, and you can see that I have not configured it to use this axis travel. It's just essentially a button press. I think you could probably mess with having button 21 for idle and button 15 for idle if you wanted to program a specific idle. But again, I think this is perfectly sufficient, and it's going to give you what you need. I have an inverted axis because otherwise 0 is 100% and 100% is 0. You'll also want to make sure you set that for all the axis ranges to get that going. But it works exactly as I would expect, and there are no issues with the throttles sort of ghost jumping up or down or all around and making them work. I'll take some screenshots and update the ticket in our solution articles for those of you that have given us feedback. Thanks for the rather long narrative. This was shockingly not straightforward to configure like some of the Thrustmaster stuff, but as you can see, it works perfectly fine in the TFDi MD-11. Thanks.